Everyone has seen photos of this place. For many, the temples of Angkor are a bucket list item, and they should be. Over the decades, I've been to a lot of the world's top sites, but very few places on this planet offer an experience like Angkor. In this video, I'll walk you through the details of getting here and tour many of the top sites in the park, on foot and by bicycle. Stay until the end to get some helpful hints on planning your own independent adventure to this amazing place. Angkor Archeological Park is in the rapidly growing town of Siem Reap, Cambodia. It's well connected by air within Southeast Asia, and a large number of discount carriers fly into its sparkling new airport. If you're coming from the Americas or Europe, you'll find it significantly cheaper to book your flight to a hub in the region like Singapore or Bangkok, and then book your flight to Siem Reap separately on a budget carrier like AirAsia. Almost all travelers need a visa for Cambodia, but these can be easily arranged online a few days beforehand or purchased on arrival. Because of hyperinflation decades ago, Cambodia prices many goods and services in US dollars, and the currency is widely accepted, along with the Cambodian rial. Many ATMs in the country also dispense both currencies. Which one you use is completely up to you. I used rials and credit cards throughout my trip and had no issues at all. The price level in Cambodia is one of the lowest I have ever encountered. A budget traveler can get great value for their money. I mean, think $1 beers and meals for $2 to $4. Go up a bit in price and you can get luxury for surprisingly little. For example, this 3-bedroom, 4-bath Airbnb with a private infinity swimming pool was a little over $200 US a night. Now there's lots of ways to experience Angkor. Guided and private tours are very cheap, but we decided to rent bikes. I enjoy biking. The roads around Angkor typically have bike lanes and are not heavily trafficked, and I feel a bike helps you to appreciate the scale of the site, and it adds a bit to the adventure. We paid $6 a day for 16-speed mountain bikes. All foreign visitors need to purchase a ticket for the park in advance, either online or at the visitor center, and these are checked at the entrance to the site and at every temple. As with most heavily visited places, getting up early will reward you with fewer crowds, lower temperatures, and better light for photography. Angkor Wat is of course the most famous and most visited temple in the complex. It's the largest religious monument in the world. It's an architectural masterpiece, showcasing a countless number of lavishly built spaces, huge, intricately carved murals depicting historical and mythological events. And if you haven't done any advanced reading, you'd be well served to hire a guide here to cue you in on the history and details of the complex and the Khmer Empire. Now, beyond Angkor Wat, the park is home to hundreds of other temples. You could easily spend weeks here and not see them all. Now, most are built in a similar style, but they can vary a lot in their setting, scale, the amount of restoration and reconstruction that's taken place, and the level of jungle clearing that's been done around them. So assuming your time is limited, I'd suggest doing a bit of advanced preparation and select temples that have features you're interested in seeing. Now, for most visitors, after seeing Angkor, the next stop is to visit the adjacent ruins of the city of Angkor Thom. It's a walled city marked by entrance gates in each of the cardinal directions. 900 years ago, this was one of the largest cities in the world, with estimates that close to 1 million people lived here. However, everything except the religious structures, gates, and city walls was built of wood. So nothing remains of that, just lush jungle. So imagine if you took a modern city, erased everything that wasn't a religious structure, and replaced it with jungle, and you'd have Angkor Thom. Now at its center is the Bayon Temple, known for the towers with these massive stone faces. Along with Angkor Wat, this is one of the most heavily visited temples in the site. Now, although these sites are amazing and are can't-miss attractions for every visitor, I'm drawn to places that are a little bit more in a natural state, with fewer tour buses, guides, and crowds. I kind of like to wander and explore on my own. So the next temple we visited was Preah. Now this is in a dense jungle setting, and like the other temples of Angkor, was built around the late 12th century. It follows a typical Khmer architectural style, with a rectangular layout surrounded by moats, and its sprawling complex with multiple levels, courtyards, and galleries. The temple is filled with intricate carvings, representations of both Hindu and Buddhist mythology, and unlike the previous temples though, much of the complex is unrestored, and as a result, it gets far fewer visitors than Angkor Wat or the Bayon Temple. So here, you'll oftentimes find yourself alone in the complex. The next one, when people think of Angkor, they often think of the Tomb Raider style imagery with abandoned temple ruins being overtaken by jungle. These are inspired by the iconic Prohm complex. Now, this temple is famous for its stunning blend of nature and architecture, with trees growing directly out of the ruins, creating a really dramatic and mystical atmosphere. The roots of these trees weave through the stones, giving the temple a wild and kind of untamed appearance. However, Prohm is another one of the must-sees on the tour bus circuit, and you'll see a lot more tourist crowds, walkways, and roped-off areas. And you might have to wait in a line or two to get some photos at some spots. Now, probably my favorite place in the park was the final temple we visited, Banteay, Kdei. Like most other Khmer temples, it was constructed in the late 12th to early 13th century. Now, although it's less grand than some of the more famous temples in the region, Banteay Kdei combines the unrestored atmosphere of Preah and the more dramatic nature of Prohm, and has hardly any visitors. Its tranquility, combined with the soft light filtering through the trees and the subtle beauty of its carvings, creates a really intimate and reflective atmosphere. As an added bonus, there's an active Buddhist temple right next to the complex, and depending upon when you visit the site, you might hear beautiful chants or singing echoing through the spaces. So here's a few travel tips to make your visit go smoothly. For travel around Siem Reap, we use the Grab app. It's super easy, fast, and cheap. Most tuk-tuk journeys that we took that were 10 minutes or less cost less than $2 US. Around the archaeological site, there's lots of vendors selling food, drinks, and souvenirs. Although you might think that a roadside tent might not be the best place to eat from, we had great experiences with delicious food and friendly service at all of our stops. Now, most temples have uneven ground, lots of steps, paving that can be slippery when wet, and unmarked drops. So be sure to wear sturdy shoes and consider your mobility constraints before entering any smaller spaces. Now, because most temples at Angkor have shrines and statues that are still active religious sites, there is a dress code for entering. For both men and women, covered shoulders and bottoms that are at least knee length. Since we were biking and it's really hot here, my wife wore shorts and a tank, then just pulled on a light dress before entering any temple. And if you're in a pinch, you can always buy a pair of drawstring pants from a souvenir vendor for just a few dollars. Now, I found Cambodians to be universally friendly, honest, and gentle people. We were never scammed, shortchanged, or treated poorly. And although at some sites you might have vendors, drivers, and guides all trying to sell you something, a polite no thank you is really all that's needed. This is definitely not Egypt. Now, visiting Siem Reap and Angkor is a journey into a mystical past. It's a connection with history and really a vibrant window into modern Cambodia as well. Now, despite its popularity, the vastness of the complex allows plenty of moments for tranquility. And although it might take a while to get here, once you arrive, it's super easy and friendly. It's truly one of our world's most special and unique places, and I can't recommend it enough. Thanks for tuning in. A like and subscribe would be sincerely appreciated and helps me continue the channel.